186 riders who started the race earlier on, representing 26 nations. The face there of Jerry Knateman, the former world champion in orange. But it really has been an extraordinary championship that's got off to a slow start. And now what everybody fears is this race will not split up over these last couple of laps. And I would have thought, Pat, that would be to Sean Kelly's disadvantage.
I would think so. Unfortunately, we've got a few good sprinters still in that group. Guido Bontempi is still there. I'm not too sure about Van der Arden, whether he is or not. But Bontempi is still there, and Bontempi will be very dangerous in this sprint. Argentina is still there, of course. And Van der Arden, we can see him there just going through. So there's still several sprinters in this race who could possibly be faster than Sean in the final sprint. And really, it's got to, in Sean's interest, it's got to split up a little more now over these next 2 laps.
Well, the Italians have tried to dictate this race pattern, as of course we expected they would do, because the crowd here expected around 200,000. We're not sure how many turned up in the storms this morning, but the majority of them coming across the nearby borders of Italy. There's the last 4 laps average speed, and you can see that last lap, 45 kilometres covered in the hour, and 45 kilometres done on lap 19 when there was a very serious attack launched by the world champion Moreno Argentin. And to the relief of everybody, he is now safely back in the pack. Well, there is the lone figure of Jeff Leekens, and this, the opening climb as it is every lap, a climb of some 3 kilometres, lifting the riders up to a height of 2,000 feet. There's the situation at the end of lap 21, starting 22. Leekens out in front, but only by 10 seconds from Bombini of Italy. Bruno Leali there for the Italians as well. Trukilion's had a very attentive race indeed. He's never been far away from the front of the race. He's tried 1 or 2 attacks. He's been closely marked. And for me, one of the men of the race so far, Pat, is Stephen Roach, the way he's worked to bring back every attack, and we believe in favour of Sean.
Oh yes, there's no doubt. Stephen realises now, with so many sprinters around, that this is going to come to a sprinter's race. And as we watch Leekens there being passed by one of the Dutch riders there, in the orange jersey, Leekens now going back to the main field, and a Dutch rider on the attack.
Well, there really is nobody in Ireland who should believe that these 2 famous Irishmen, the Wales number 1 and number 2, are anything like rivals. They may race for rival teams, but they really are the most devoted friends. And Stephen Roach, winner of the Tour of Italy and the Tour de France this year, has done an awful lot of work to keep this race in the favour of Sean Kelly. Well, as we start this lap number 22, the hard work being put in for the last 3 hours by Martin Early of Ireland has now been coming to an end, because Martin Early has gone through here something like 2 minutes behind this leading group, and so his day's work is done, and Martin Early now, sad to say, is off the back. This is Kim Anderson, the winner of the Tour of Denmark, and he's riding alongside here one of the French riders, and it looked to me like Marshall Guyon up alongside him. So it's still anybody's race. These attacks, everyone could work, and it's going to be a most difficult race for the favourites now to monitor, because they really have played into the hand of the surprise attacker. They've allowed this race to roll along in a big bunch, lap after lap. We're now inside 2 laps to go, and really a man with the courage to put his nose out front and go. Any one of them could be the attack that would make the move. And Anderson, Pat, is one of those lone riders who likes to win alone. He's going back into the bunch as I speak. So Kim Anderson of Denmark. Turn Van Vliet here, number 107. He was on the attack earlier with Argentin. Kelly choosing a good wheel here in Van Vliet.
Yes, Kelly's on a very good wheel, because Van Vliet has very good form at the moment. He just won the Tour of Holland 2 weeks ago. He was the rider who was involved in that break. And at the front now, it's Marino Lazareta, another very good Spanish rider at the front of the group, as we're looking there at Adrie van der Poel, another fine sprinter. Anderson, Kirkillion is there. So really a lot of sprinters there, and a lot of men who can take a lone attack. Watch for Phil Anderson, another rider who could take away in the last lap, and because all the sprinters will be watching each other, take this event.
Well, betting has been allowed on this World Championship for the first time in the history of the sport, and Sean Kelly started a little bit down the field today. You'd have got, in fact, on Thursday odds of 20 to 1 on him. This morning you still could have picked up odds of around 16 to 1. Well, after this race began, he tumbled down to 3rd favourite at 6 to 1 behind Guido Bontempi and Marino Argentin of Italy. And now I think those odds are proving to be just about right. There's Kelly in 4th place, shadowing the 2 Dutchmen, Teun Van Vliet and Adrie van der Poel. Van der Poel, don't forget, is the Dutch champion, a stage winner this year. He's the highest money earner in Holland. and he shares the leadership of the Dutch team with Teun van Vliet for this event. And my goodness me, if any one of the Dutchmen win, they will receive a personal pay packet of over £6,000. Still the attacks go on, still the riders sticking those up front. That's Eric Breking, who broke away just after the start of this lap. The average speed for the race now beginning to look a lot more respectable over these last few laps, because they've picked up the speed and they've been recording lap times at 27 miles an hour, bringing the overall speed now for the 6 hours and 23 minutes of racing up to 25 miles an hour. And a little conversation going on at the front there between Eric Breking and one of the Belgian riders. This bunch really has come down to a small elite pack now after the big bunch we saw roll along earlier today. Pat, if I were a betting man, I would not know who to put any money on at all now, because it really is anybody's race.
Oh, there's no doubt it's anybody's race, and the Dutch now riding well together. A lot of Dutch riders in that leading bunch now. And with Breukink away, we can see 4 or 5 Dutch riders at the front of the bunch defending for him there. Theodor Roy is there, Teun van Vliet, Adrie van der Poel, all up the front now. It's the Belgians who are doing the chasing and the Italians. Jerry Knietemann there just moving into second place there in defence of Breukink. But really with the sprinters there, with Bontempi, with Van der Arden, and it's the Belgians are obviously riding for Van der Arden now at this stage. They realise that if they get him to a sprint finish, he could possibly win. As we're looking at Thomas Wegmuller of the Swiss team attacking and trying to get up to Breukink.
Well, here again we're being shown an example of what can happen. We've got a Swiss rider, Wegmuller, who's trying to go clear and join Breukink at the front. If he gets there, he's got the strength of the Dutch team to protect him behind, almost by default. In fact, there's Breukink, the lone man. The Dutch operating a system they operate so much in World Championships, and how many times they've done it with great success. World Championships in 78 and 79 with Jerry Knietemann and Jan Raas. And of course in 1986, 1985 rather, when the winner was Joop Zoetemelk of Holland. So there we are, the Dutch operating a system, put a man in front, make the rest of the race take up the chase. If they don't, we'll win anyway. And it's going to be a very tough race now for Sean Kelly and Stephen Roach to monitor, because they really do have to make use of the tactics of the other teams. They have no other support left in this leading group. They are on their own, and as you can see, there's a big predominance of orange jerseys from Holland, blue ones, of course, from France, and more importantly, perhaps, from Italy and Belgium.
As we're watching, Roach trying to take Kelly away. Knietemann holding the bunch up now. There's a little group ahead of Kelly. This could be decisive now on the final climb.
Well, I'll tell you, whatever you say about these two riders, they have tremendous courage. They're working as two loyal friends, because the two boys in green, Kelly follows Steve Roach, and they've gone right into that front group, and they're going to the right of the road as well.
Yes, Roach attacking now on his own now, looked back, saw that there was a gap back to the main field, and then attacking, trying to draw this group clear, because a little group now which could break away. There's several riders in it, 2 Dutch riders there, Belgian, I think it's Krillian in the group also. It's a good group, and if it did get the gap, it could be away.
And this, Pat, it had to happen, didn't it? Because exactly what you said, you couldn't let this race come home for the sprinters at all. You had to take on the sprinters by breaking them on this climb. This is the climb that brings the race up to the high point of 2,000 feet. And then you've got a short downhill, another steep climb, and then you're back round to the finish. So this had to be a decisive move here by the two Irish boys. They've read it absolutely perfectly. And again, it's Stephen Roach who's proving to be the man that's trying to guide Sean Kelly into that first ever rainbow jersey as world champion. There's Roach on the front at the moment, pacing along here in front of Stephen Rooks of Holland, and tucked into Rooks' slipstream is Sean Kelly. Well, at the moment, whatever you say about them, Pat, they're doing everything right.
They certainly are, and it all depends on what's happening behind. It depends on what the legs are like. We see the gap there, it's small at the moment. There's no Italians up in this leading break. If the Italians have to chase it, that's Marc Madio of the French. That's Krillian there. We also, looks like one of the Dutch riders there. Breukink is there. Kelly, Rooks, Roach doing all the riding at the front of the group, and if Roach can really pull this group away now, it's looking very good for Kelly.
Oh, what a marvellous season Stephen Roach has really had. Remember back to March when he punctured, when he looked all set to win Paris-Nice, and that victory went to Sean Kelly instead for the 6th successive year. And since then, Roach has won not only 3 of the smaller of the world's major stage races, but of course he's won 2 of the biggest ones, the Tour of Italy and the Tour de France. There's Teun van Vliet, who wanted to be the leader of the Dutch team when he came to these World Championships. He won the Tour of Holland to say that's why, and now he's going to try and force this move along. But it is indeed Stephen Roche, who knows that he's got to break this field in favour of Sean Kelly. He's got to do it on this climb. And coming onto the back of this group there in blue is the defending world champion, Moreno Argentin. He's read the move exactly correctly. He's come across from the group. Just in front of him is Fernandez, the crafty little Spaniard who is in an early breakaway with Argentin, refused to work. He's read every move right as well. There is the defending champion as he goes forward now for these last 9 kilometres of this world champion. There's Steve Bauer of Canada, a rider 5 laps to go, we were all told here, had retired from the race. Well, as you can see, he's not only not retired, but he's now in with a chance of repairing for him too a very poor season. There's the gap. Thumbs up here from Pat McQuaid alongside me. Come on, Pat.
Yeah, it's certainly looking good because it's Roche doing all the driving now. Once they get over this hill, the other riders will do the riding now with them now. Kelly looking back to see who's with him, looking back to see who the gap is. He's got Trekillian there. Trekillian, a very good friend of Kelly's. And if it comes through a sprint or comes looking like a sprint, Trekillian knows that there's no way he's going to win, so he'll work for Kelly. So Argentin really the danger man here now as far as Kelly's concerned. Kelly going back, seeing Argentin, seeing who's there and who's behind, looking back at the gap and realizing now that he's in with a very good chance. Certainly I would think this break is going to stay away now. Nothing's going to come up to it. One rider closing up to it, possibly looks like Muller, I think, Jörg Muller of the PDM team, of the Swiss team, but it looks like that's the last rider who's going to get into this leading break.
Well, it looks like we have a baker's dozen. I make it 13 riders out in front now. Muller's going to make it 14 if he gets on. And this World Championship has come alive in this very last lap. You can forget all that's gone before for the previous 6 hours because, quite frankly, it was nothing at all important. It was purely a process to prepare these riders for the springboard to attack on this very, very last lap. There they are, over the summit then of this 3-kilometre climb. A quick drink for Stephen Roche there. He looks across at Sean Kelly to see how he is. Kelly, as he often does, stretches his back to look over the heads of all the riders in front to see what's going on at the front, who's driving it. Kelly has already been down the back of this line to check out everybody who's in this breakaway. He's such a shrewd operator when it comes to the crunch. Kelly, for my money, Pat, is really now looking for the win.
He's certainly looking for the win, and the one rider he really has to watch here is Argentin, because Argentin a very good sprinter, but also 3 Dutch riders in the group. Van Vliet is there, Rooks is there, and possibly maybe Knetemann the other one, but certainly the Dutch there in force, and any one of these Dutch riders could break away before the finish and win. But when you have the Tour de France winner and the Tour of Italy winner this year as your teammate, you can be sure that he will do everything to ensure that this group stays together for Kelly to win in the sprint.
Well, there we are. Now they really are flying as they're going down here. Teun van Vliet, of course, is a rider who is a great finisher if he gets his chance in a finish like this. If you remember the Nissan Classic a couple of years ago, that wonderful time trial when Sean Kelly shot out of Sean Kelly's square in Carrick-on-Shore in pursuit of Teun van Vliet in the time trial. Well, he caught him then on his way to recording one of the fastest average speeds ever for a time trial in the world. Now here we are, 2 years on, the World Championships in Villach in Austria. Sean Kelly might yet have to again beat Teun van Vliet to take his first ever gold medal in world cycling. What an unbelievable year it would be for Ireland if Kelly could land gold now, the same year that Stephen Roche has done that great double of winning the Tours of France and Italy, himself only the 5th man in the world to do that.